It is time for Answers Party Line today for your Wednesday, September the 13th, 2017. Answers Party Line is brought to you by Wimmer Opticians of St. Cloud, Atlas Family Chiropractic of Waite Park. My name is Brad Melke. Good morning. In studio with me, we have Dennis Fuchs from the Soil and Water Conservation District. We have Rick Berscheid from the Natural Resources Conservation Service. Also, we've got Kevin Roth, Pheasants Forever Farm Bill Biologist, and Jason Selvog, District Technician, all in studio today. Man, oh man, it's a party today.
Yeah, we thought it would be a good idea to get Kevin and Jason here to talk about some of the things they're working on.
Because they work a lot.
Oh my gosh, I hardly ever see them because they're out in the field doing their job.
Doing field technician stuff.
Pheasant inventory
district
work.
Technician stuff and Pheasants Forever Farm Bill Biologist stuff. And
Yeah. So I think a lot of the listeners probably heard the DNR roadside pheasant counts came out, and we're looking at over a 25% reduction in, is there a feedback or an echo, or is that just me?
That's just, that's probably the door. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Rick will close that for you so you have a better atmosphere. There you go. Thanks, Rick. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, all right.
All right. Is that better for you, Dennis?
Yeah.
Can I get you a cup of water or something?
No, I got coffee. I'm good.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
You bet.
So anyhow, we've noticed a reduction in pheasant numbers this year, and that's definitely tied to habitat and weather and the types of extremes we can see. So these guys do a lot of work with our producers and landowners out there and providing various programs that help offset the cost of participating in and putting land into non-crop production types of cover, like native grasses and forbs. So they're going to talk a little bit about that today. And I don't know how you want to transition this.
Dennis, you direct where this is your show. Go ahead. Do what you want. It's all up to you. I'm just going to hit some buttons over here.
Well, why don't we have Jason talk a little bit about the CRP and what's going on with that program?
Okay, I can do that. So CRP is the Conservation Reserve Program. I guess what I wanted to visit with a little bit about that was currently the national cap of CRP is at 24 million acres is what USDA is allowed to enroll in that program. And currently we're at that cap, so USDA is not accepting any additional acres into CRP at this time. With that being said, they're still allowed to go through the process of finding out eligibility for CRP, and then Kevin or I would do site visits to determine what practice would best fit that particular field. We can go through that process. If the landowner wants to enroll, basically what happens is they get on a waiting list to enroll in CRP. And with the hopes that with the expiring contracts, which will happen September 30th here, we'll have some gap there to fill that back up to 24 million again, that some of those folks will get enrolled or re-enrolled again. So hopefully what that means is with new contracts, I think they're talking about starting those October 1st of 18. Mm-hmm. So that's a change with CRP that hasn't happened for since I've been doing it, that we've had a stoppage in enrollment, and all that. Hopefully with the new Farm Bill in 2018. Hopefully they'll increase that cap again. It's just talking and looking on emails from Pheasants Forever is kind of on top of it too. Is they would like to see Pheasants Forever, Ducks Unlimited, those types of groups. They'd like to see 50 million acres, and there's other groups that want to see maybe 25, 26 million acres. So I hope they'll meet somewhere in the middle. I'm hoping 30, 32 would be nice. Just remains to be see what happens with that.
You know what the problem is? You guys are promoting it too well. It's too popular.
Well, the commodity prices aren't helping, so that kind of drives that truck. So, with corn prices, I don't know, they're probably hovering around $3 right now. We have a lot of interest in CRP right now. The waiting list, I just talked to FSA this morning. She said she's got 24 people, Kevin? I can't remember what she said, but I think it was 24 people on the waiting list. That's just for Stearns County. So another thing with CRP that's changing, that hasn't happened for 4+ years, is the county committee approved to increase the rental rates for CRP. So they're going to increase about 10%. We don't know the exact dollar amounts yet, but with those 10%, the low end is going to be right around $116 an acre, and the high end was $176 an acre. some of those practices can receive 20% increase on those numbers based on type of practice, so it'd be 20% higher than those numbers.
So they raise the rates but limit the enrollment deal.
Yeah, and the raising the rates doesn't happen very often.
Okay.
Usually about every 5 years you have the opportunity to raise the rates. Last time we had this opportunity, they chose to keep them the same, which actually worked out really well because we're one of the few counties in the area that are actually getting an increase this time. So,
And Jason, the rates that a landowner would receive is based on the type of cover they're going to plant, or is it on the soils, or how do you get a different rental rate?
the rental rate is based off of the soil type, which we use the soils maps that we have for the county. Every soil type is categorized into 6 groups of dollar amounts, and they take the 3 most predominant soils on a field that you want to enroll, and they average those out, and that's how you get your dollar amount. So it doesn't go with, it's not really land value, it's soil dollar amounts that they come up with.
So when it's, I guess, locked into the right term, when it's locked in, how long does it stay for? Or for
It's 10 or 15 years.
Okay.
Landowner can choose what they like to do.
that's not going to change.
As far as I know, it's the government, so anything can change.
It's the government. Just hang on for the ride there. Okay.
Government. But not Kevin. Kevin works for Pheasants forever.
Okay. All right. So that's there might be that little window of opportunity you said.
Yeah. Yep. So, Kevin and I are still doing site visits, still determining eligibility for folks. So if they're interested, give us a call and we can take a look at that for you and see kind of where you fit with what practice you might fit in with. The other thing I was going to mention is the CREP program, Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program. That's a program that's a combination of CRP and the State of Minnesota Reinvest in Minnesota program, or RIM program. So what that is the landowners enroll into CRP for 14 or 15 years. Once that contract expires out of CRP, it rolls into a permanent easement program. And what the landowner gets in return is a payment on a per acre basis for the land value. Stearns County values range from $3,000 to $4,000 per acre for a perpetual easement on the property. So that's the thing I always tell landowners. It's a perpetual easement, so it travels with the property. It's recorded on the deed. It moves. If you sell the property, it's still in the easement. So there's only a few practices that are eligible for that. Filter strips, wetland restorations, wellhead areas, and that's it, right? Yeah, that's it. So wellhead areas are the other ones. So a wellhead area is an area near a municipality where the water in the area goes to the water that's servicing the houses in the area. So if your drinking water comes from the wellhead protection area, that would be a field that would be eligible for this program.
All right. Hold everything. We got to take a break for some news. We'll be back and talk more with our guests. Soil and water conservation we're talking about today. It's Chasm Radio. It's 9:30 news time, Minnesota News Network. And so Party Line continues talking about soil and water conservation today. We've got Rick Berscheid from NRCS, Dennis Fuchs, and Jason Selvog from SWCD, also Kevin Roth from Pheasants Forever. We left off, Jason, talking about the CREP program. You had said during the break, first time Stearns County's been eligible, you said?
Yeah, yep. We've had 2 CREP enrollments previously, both kind of down in the southern part, kind of Minnesota River Valley area. And then this is the first time we've had Stearns County included in that. So it started in May, I think, was the sign up, and they do batching periods. So every time you get an application, every 15th of the month, they send them in, and then they score and rank them, and then they're approved based on their score and rank and dollar amount, basically. Dennis had a good question on the break here. Talked about access to the land and then hunting rights. With CREP, the access and hunting rights still is to the landowner. So landowner doesn't have to let everybody hunt on it. I get that question a lot in the office, actually, even with CRP. So,
Yeah.
And then how to enroll in CREP. If you're interested in CREP, it has to be eligible for CRP. So they're looking for cropland acres. You can enroll some non-cropland, up to 5% of the cropland acres can be non-cropland. And then if you're interested, just stop into the office and visit with Kevin or myself. We can take a look at the cropping history with Farm Service Agency. And then if you're eligible, we can kind of work through and see what practice it might be eligible for through CREP.
Okay. All right.
Speaking of hunting, I want to have Kevin talk a little bit about the DNR's walk-in access program. And he's got some information to share with your listeners, Brad. Is that all right?
Oh, thanks, Dennis. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, here we go.
Very good.
Well, thank you, Dennis. So Jason talked a little bit about the CREP program and CRP program, which are private land conservation options for landowners not open to public hunting. DNR has a program called the Walkin Access Program. This would give these landowners an opportunity to open their private land up to the public for hunting on their property. Once enrolled in a Walkin Access Program, landowners get compensation at $10 to $13 an acre for a 1 to 3 year contract. Ideal land is going to be 40 acres or greater in size, or be adjacent to some other land that's open to public hunting, such as a wildlife management area or a waterfowl production area. State covers liability and enforcement of laws on the property, so basically landowners have nothing to worry about once enrolled into that program. I think it's a great deal for some landowners that might be, live out of the state or aren't around and they're enrolled in one of these conservation programs already. It's a great opportunity for the state to get some more access for you and I or whoever to go out there and be able to hunt property without knocking on a bunch of doors and trying to hunt private land or that somebody's family or they already hunt themselves.
So how will this land, will it be posted? Is it going to be, they can go to a website and say, oh, I can hunt here?
Yeah, correct. There is signage, there is posting that the DNR does of all the boundaries once enrolled into this. Once out, they would also take the signs down. Also going to be available on a number of different online resources where these parcels are located. And this is the first year Stearns County has been eligible to enroll land into this walk-in access program, and so far had pretty good success. 3 different parcels have been enrolled. I want to say around 250, 300 acres total, so it's going to be open to people in the area to get out and explore this fall coming up here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What does a farmer get paid for putting it in the program?
$10 to $13 per acre, 1 to 3 year contract.
1 to 3 year contract.
Yeah.
Landowner's choice.
Yeah, well, I clarify that for us, Kevin.
All right, yes. There's a couple different incentives to get up to that $13 an acre. It's going to be based on the size of the property enrolled and if its proximity to other public hunting areas. So if you're within a certain distance of another area open to public hunting, you're going to get $1 incentive, and if you're over 160 acres, I believe, you're going to get another $1 incentive. So,
is there a cap on the amount of acreage?
There is not. No.
Oh, okay.
Stearns County probably doesn't have any properties that are going to be overly large.
I suppose not.
You can enroll all sorts of stuff, and other than cropland. Cropland, of course, is not eligible to be enrolled, but if you have a woods that goes along with some CRP or a couple wetlands, that aren't in a program, you can enroll stuff like that as well.
So again, what's the process? They have to come out, and how long does it take to get the whole thing rolling?
Yep, signups are going to be over the winter,
okay.
Probably January, February time frame. If somebody's interested, get in contact with us at the Soil and Water office, and we'll get you going on an application. Once the application is in, basically everybody's funded if you want to be in the program, and then DNR will come out and post the property over the summer. And,
okay.
Pretty much on our way.
Hey, Kevin, can you explain to our hunting listeners how it works? If they see the signs, can they just go out and hunt it, or do they need a permit or a stamp or anything, or how does that work?
There is a special validation needed to hunt these properties. It kind of helps fund some of this. It helps fund the DNR being able to run this program. It's just a $3 one-time fee each fall. Then you have access to all the walk-in access areas in the state. It's becoming more and more of a popular thing as we follow the lead from other neighboring states that have done the same thing and been very successful.
So application's not till later on in the winter?
Correct.
And then that will allow them to be open next fall? Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah.
Okay.
The beginning September 1st.
Okay. So kind of a year transition here, it sounds like.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
We can use these here programs to help farmers get in compliance with the Minnesota buffer law. Some landowners have been interested in the CRP program, and there's also other programs available, and I'll have Kevin cover that in a bit here. But as a lot of listeners know, the Minnesota Buffer Law, this fall, November 1st, all of the public waters identified on the Minnesota DNR buffer map will have to have a 50-foot setback of perennial vegetation. And if that's something that you need assistance with completing, give our office a call. We can work with you on identifying concentrated flow areas. Maybe we can put a grass waterway in and reduce that buffer with a different conservation practice. We could also look at some crop residue management, leaving more crop residue, cover crops, and that type of thing. But our partners, the Sauk River Watershed District, also have a program called the Hayable Buffer, and I'll have Kevin or Jason talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, this is another good program we've been working on quite a bit lately. Unique to our area, as Dennis said, just the Sauk River Watershed and be eligible for this. So if you're located within there, this is a great option to get in compliance with the Minnesota Buffer Law. Also eligible are just private ditches or other ditches. You know, if you need some more hayland to cut, you know, might as well put it along one of these sensitive areas. Basically, some specifics of the program: $150 an acre, 10-year contract. Can clip the area 2 times from June 15th through September 1st. We're looking at 75% cost share to establish. No minimum acreage on this, no maximum, kind of whatever's eligible. We're looking at 50-foot minimum for the buffer width. Also going out to 120 feet with some ability to square things up, make it nice and easy for clipping the hay there. So if you're interested in this program, another thing to contact our office about.
So when you say hayable, the composition of what's being, made into hay, is that a factor?
Yeah, we have mixes designed specifically that are meant to be hayed,
okay.
Versus CRP or CREP planting, where we're more just leaving it there. We might cut it once every 3 to 5 years on a program like that, but these hayable buffers are designed to be cut every year. We also have buffers that are designed for a delayed hang. So if you want to be a little bit nesting bird conscious, thinking about pheasants and ducks and stuff again, we can also put a mix out there that's designed to be cut in more of a mid-July or early August time frame.
A one-time cut kind of a deal.
Yeah, that would probably be more of a one-time clipping type of deal, but you're still looking at the same incentives out of the program.
This program's real similar to the CRP program, other than the fact that CRP are not allowed to hay it. In this program, you are allowed to hay it. So that's kind of one of the big differences.
All right, very good.
Very popular program in our dairy land area.
Wonderful. All right.
Jason, did you want to talk a little bit about the Pollinator Habitat, another program we're helping landowners with?
Yep. We've got a couple different programs for pollinators. The Stearns County Soil and Water District has a grant through Great River Greening to put monarch habitat on landscapes. We're kind of focusing on lands that are not eligible for CRP. So if basically what it is if you've got at least a half acre and up to 5 acres maximum that maybe you don't want to mow anymore or it's sitting idle, we have funds to help pay for the cost of the seed and seeding through the Conservation District. Basically, the seed mix is a pollinator-friendly mix with focus on monarch butterflies. So you're going to have something that has high nectar in it. So your milkweeds, your blazing stars, those type of things will have to be in the mix. We can come up with a mix for you so you don't have to choose those things yourself. We've got some mixes that would meet the criteria. And then the payments are up to a flat rate of $600 per acre enrolled. So the $600 is probably going to pay for most of the cost of the seed per acre and maybe a little bit of site prep. The rest of the funds would be out of pocket for the landowner.
So the enrollment time is right now to get signed up?
Yep, we've got enough funds to maybe do 10 to 12 projects in Stearns County. Yes.
Over the next year?
Yep, we have till fall of 18.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. So if you're interested in that, you can give our office a call. And actually, you can talk to myself about that, Jason Selvog. There also is another program through Pheasants Forever for pollinators that Kevin can discuss also.
Yeah, the Pheasants Forever Pollinator Habitat program would be called the Next Gen Pollinator Habitat. A lot of the same specifics as what the Soil and Water is doing. Basically, looking to put odd tracts of land into pollinator habitats. So those large lawns that you might not want to mow, marginal meadows or stuff like that. Just looking to enhance some of these odd areas, which this program is going to give you the seed mix outright. Half of the acres enrolled would be put into a native pollinator mix, and the other half would be put into a more of a honeybee, a lot of clovers, alfalfa type mix. So great habitat again for all sorts of species, not just pollinators, monarchs. We're talking pheasants, deer, all sorts of things. So it can be used as an enhancement project on your current conservation acres too. This program is going to give you, I think it's a 3 or 4 year contract, and it's going to pay you around $40 an acre a year. So nothing really crazy in that means on the per acre payment, but it at least gives you some incentive to get a project funded if it's something you're looking at doing. So
Okay. Got about 9 minutes left here in the program. You got some stuff going on next week, Rick?
We do. We have a couple things going on here, Brad. But first, I'd like to start out with introducing. We have a new employee that started here last week. Her name's Charlene Hancock. She is from Lenoke, Arkansas. She just transferred up from La Center. She's been down there for 2 years working with the NRCS. So we'd like to welcome her to the team. And if you see a new face around, her name is Charlene.
All right.
Coming up next week, we have a soil health field day. It's actually put on by the Sherburne Soil and Water Conservation District. It is close to us. That's why we've been talking about it quite a bit on the radio. It's right off of Highway 10. It's going to be Wednesday, September 20th from 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. at the Haven Township Town Hall. It's just a few miles south of St. Cloud, right off of 10. They're going to have a main presenter. It's going to be Jay Fear from North Dakota. NRCS, he's their soil health specialist. He's a very good presenter and knows a lot about soil health. So if you have the day open, I would encourage you to attend. They are taking RSVP so they can get a good count on the number of lunches to provide. They are providing a free pulled pork lunch for all attendees.
Yum.
Oh, look at Dennis. He's already getting hungry. So if it works out in your schedule, please give them a call at 763-241-1170, extension 4, to do your RSVP. And the sooner the better to make sure everyone gets fed. They're going to have demonstrations. They planted some cover crops. They interseeded into corn. They're going to have the rainfall simulator there, which is an excellent simulator demonstration that shows the difference between different types of cover, such as cover crops, different types of tillage systems, such as no-till and conventional, and possibly a couple other demonstrations there. They can have up to 5 trays on that. So I encourage you to attend, give them a call, and they can get you on the list. We also are working on another cover crop demonstration potential for the county. We are looking at trying to get a highboy seeder up in the county. It's essentially like a sprayer rig that is converted over to seeding or interseeding cover crops into standing crops. We're looking at having approximately 500 acres or so seeded to cover crops into standing corn with a cereal rye mix with some broadleaves of radishes, turnips, and rapeseed. So it's not a for sure go yet, but if it comes together here like we're hoping to, hopefully it'll be going on next week. So we'll be giving you a call to get the word out if we can pull it off.
Okay. So that's in the works.
That's in the works.
Wonderful, wonderful. What else you want to cover, Dennis?
Well, the other thing is a lot of farmers are going to be taking corn silage off right now. And this is a great opportunity for folks to get some cover crops established, and something like winter rye, cereal rye is a great cover crop to put out there after your corn silage. You can even put this out before you apply your manure and lightly incorporate that, or if you're injecting your manure, you disturb very little. The cereal rye does an excellent job of sequestering the nutrients in the surface and then also preventing wind and water soil erosion throughout the season. And Rick's got some information there as far as what types of seeding rates you'd be looking at. And we try to get this in, in September before it gets too late. But cereal rye is, or winter rye is really easy to grow. I can even get it to grow in Sherburne County sand.
If Dennis can make it grow, anybody can make it grow.
That's an endorsement there.
So what we try to look at when we're developing a cover crop mix for you, first off, we look at when you're looking at planting it, and then we try to look at the type of crop rotation you currently have. There are 4 different groups of crops. We have warm season crops and cool season crops. Then we have the grasses and broadleaves. So your soybeans are a warm season broadleaf. Your corn's going to be a warm season grass. We're looking at planting these in the fall, so we'd be looking at trying to add in other species that are cool season species, just to add diversity to your rotation, and then the timing of the year they're going to grow best. So,
Where do you get your seeds from? Where's your resource for that?
you can get seed all over. There's a lot of different co-ops that sell cover crop seed. A few years back, it was hard to find, but as more people are incorporating it and finding the value in it and wanting to do it, there are more people growing it just due to the demand. So, talk to your seed dealer. A lot of times they may not have it on hand, but they can order it through another company and get it for you, or your local elevator, and they can have it on. A lot of these places have it on hand now because it's becoming more popular.
But the way you discuss it, it sounds like the sky's the limit as far as what kind of a blend or mix you can get.
Absolutely. What we try to do is look at what you're currently doing, how you're going to manage it. Do you want something that's going to winter kill? Are you looking at having something over winter where it's going to protect the soil next spring from wind erosion, or help dry out the soil in the spring so you can plant earlier, or you can drive right on top of it? So there's a lot of different variables that we consider. It all depends on what's going to work best for you in your operation.
You know, in a candy shop, when they have all those bulk bins and you say, I want some of those and I want some of those, how do they put the mix together? Do they all have it separated and then you just say, I want 20% of that or whatever?
Well, first we go, Brad, what type of jelly bean do you like?
See, now you're on my line of thinking.
And then we go from there. After we find out what your goals are, we take a look at the bin of cover crops essentially and say, okay, you want to plant it after corn silage. We're going to be doing that here beginning of September. We got to look at species that we can establish this time of the year that are going to get growing and take off. We don't want to plant a warm season crop or a cover crop at this time of the year because we don't have long growing degree days. We don't have the heat. They're just not going to do well. So we got to really look at what the producer wants to get out of the cover crops, the timing, and how is it going to fit in your management. Because it's not as simple as just throw out a bunch of seed and hope it grows. Because we also got to look into, well, what did you apply for herbicides? You might want to talk to your crop consultant or the co-op and see if there was any restrictions on planting other species following a certain herbicide. There are some feeding restrictions too. So if you're looking at planting a cover crop and selling it, some of those herbicides, insecticides, pesticides, or whatever you applied may have some restrictions as far as feeding it to livestock. So there's a lot of different variables you have to consider. But a lot of our mixes, we try to get established here between August 15th to September 15th. Again, each species different. The cereal rye, we can go up to November 1st, we recommend. Sooner the better, of course, but we do have restrictions on, don't plant after this date just so you have a higher success rate.
Okay. All right. Got about a minute.
I'd like to just send a shout out to the Lake Henry Lakers baseball team. I'd like to send them a big meow. Way to go. They just about took the state tournament for the Class C baseball amateur. And what a season for our local Lake Henry Lakers. And then they have another Stearns County team beat them in the finals, Kimball. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
And that completes our show.
And I just want to send a note out to Harvey and Bubba. Don't get in trouble until I get there. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis. Dennis Fuchs, Kevin Roth, also Jason Selvog and Rick Berscheid. Soil and water conservation, our topic this morning. Thanks for your time today, everybody.
Thanks, Brad.
We got news coming up next. It's Chasm Radio.